In this video, I will show you the process as best as I can of getting your horse, like Cruiser here, to where he's standing quiet and the rope hanging straight down. I'm confident he's not going to try to move off. He understands that he's supposed to stand there and give me his feet. Anyway, the video I'm using, well, I was going to use, it didn't work in my movie program because it was done on my old phone and the movie program didn't recognize it. So, sorry I have to use screenshots, but the next baby I get that I will be working with like this, I'll do a better video. But for now, I thought I'd try to explain the basics. First of all, you must get really good round pinning understanding with the horse, not to just to kick them around and tire them out or nothing like that, but just for them to understand you're in control, you're the leader. They're not, horses have to have a leader or they just feel scared. Now, if you've been round pinning kind of hard and the horse is worked up, you can't expect them to pick up feet, so you gotta try to get them to make lots of turns. I always do lots of inside turns and outside turns both. Get them to think about what I want every second and be in tune with me pretty good before I am ready to, or before I feel like they're ready for me to pick their feet up. Now this horse was a big scaredy cat. Before I could do a lot with his feet, it was important that I did a lot of desensitizing the air around him. You always want to desensitize the air around first, and then they have to get used to touch everywhere. There's just a certain process of going through it. You can't skip one, you'll end up with problems. Now, I like to use the breathable kind of fly boots, not shoe fly boots, because they only touch the very bottom and some of the top. But I like these the cheaper fly boots that they hug the whole lower leg. They hug the pastern and everything. So they help get them used to that touch without even doing anything. You just put them on. But it is a little tricky getting them on. You have to be careful because these are the horses that are like, you barely touch them and they'll kick you. So what I usually end up doing is I end up feeding them their grain, and I feed out of a tray on the ground. And you gotta do other stuff too. You gotta do a lot of touching and petting them, brushing them, or whatever other times. You gotta be okay, have them okay with you just being there. Can't be totally wild either. You gotta work up to that. But anyway, I always, while they're eating their grain, I quietly and I move very slow, cautiously, carefully put them on. And you're taking risks, of course, but if you really were not confident doing that like I am, then you could have someone help twitch the horse while you put them on real quick, or have a vet come and drug them while you put the boots on. But these particular boots would sag down, and it was a good thing, and it could be a bad thing too if you didn't keep them, get dirty and bunched up, and you don't want them to get sores, because if they got sores, then yeah, you would be, you'd be worse than you were when you started. So, but what I did was actually a couple times a day at feed time, 2 times a day, I would gently go up to him while he's eating his grain, let him get distracted with his grain, and, just gently pull him up. You gotta pull them just right so that they don't really, catch him off guard, like, what are you doing? But, and I always put the halter on too. I always had the lead rope, holding the lead rope like I am in this picture. You want to keep it kind of slacked where they don't think they gotta turn around, and that's when they tend to step over away from you in the hind, because you're putting pressure on the lead rope without realizing it. But anyway, always do this kind of work with the halter and the lead rope right there in your hand. so that if something decided to go haywire, you could pull their head around for your safety, and the butt goes the other way. Now, once the horse is used to you rubbing all over their body and their flank, down their rump a little bit and around their upper hind leg, the stifle and everything. Once they're okay with all that being touched, then you can safely thread the rope around their leg. My hand is there in this picture. That's what I'm working on doing, just get it around the leg. And then once it's around, then you can drop the rope down lower on the leg and everything and have a hold of it, which the next picture will show you that. Okay, I have the rope just around his pastern in this picture, but you don't need to worry about picking up the foot right away. First, you'll just be kind of seesawing the rope up and down the leg. A soft cotton rope is best for this. This one I have is actually a nylon braided rope that I had. I just was gentle with it. You don't want to cause any rope burns with the nylon, but with bigger horses, adult horses, I felt like I needed more length. My lead rope here on this horse is about 12-foot lead rope, and it was okay for a little yearling, but like big horses, full-size horses, I had to have a separate rope for that. I kept a hold of them with their rope, and then I used a separate, just a cotton rope works fine for that. I have a rope that I keep for that. Anyway, you want to seesaw it back and forth, up and down the leg. At first, they will, they can get kicky and stuff, so just be patient, stay out of kicking range, keep a hold of their head, stay up by their shoulder as best as you can, and, try to ignore the kicking for the most part until they, they'll eventually figure out that it's not hurting them, and so they'll stop and they'll stand still, and as soon as the feet stop, just drop everything. In fact, I kind of had to throw the rope a little bit just to get it to completely let loose of the leg. Because, that's the important part, is rewarding them when they stand quiet, stand still, feet planted, not moving. That's how they know they've done the right thing. So then you would pull the rope up from the ground, and then just start over. Rub their body, get back to that flank area again, get it around the leg, and then, seesaw up and down the leg. Eventually, after a few sessions, the horse figures out that you're not hurting them. You're just putting the rope around and rubbing their leg, and you're not bent over with your head down there. The rope helps you stay safe. Now, once they're okay with all the touching and all the rubbing the rope around, seesawing the rope all around the leg, they should pick it up pretty easily, but sometimes they may react a little badly. If they do react a little badly, just go back down to rubbing and basics. Anytime something just doesn't go right, just go back to basics. Go back to the first thing you were doing, which obviously the first thing is touch first. And, the seesawing the rope up and down the leg, even on the pastern, that's all a form of touch that they got to get used to first before you can ever expect to pick it up. I think that's most of the basics that I can think of right now just by looking at this video. I always feel it out, each horse. I feel it out, it comes natural to me what to do next when I'm in the situation working with a horse. So if you ever have any troubles, just let me know. And let's see, the other thing I was going to say is if the horse is not standing still in any of this, then you're not ready to handle legs. Just work on the body. Rub the body, rub the chest, rub the sides. That's the very, very beginning of it. And also the very beginning is, the air around, swinging ropes gently around. Sometimes a baby's scared with just even a slight tap. So you just gotta be gentle. Now, this is video that I did actually get to transfer over to my movie program. It doesn't show the very beginning stages, but it shows after he was starting to finally accept it pretty good. Obviously I always rubbed on his body and, did tons of desensitizing, swinging ropes around the air all that helped him build up to being able to handle his feet. Trying to run away from that. I had to try to keep my body language still here. Good boy. My leather thing is making some noise, which is like, but he's doing good. Handling it okay. Good boy. Now you can move. Now, part of desensitizing is getting them to understand when I want them to move around, like lunging. This is like baby lunging because he's just a baby and it's a small pen, but the small pen actually was pretty handy for teaching them the basics. Anyway, just getting them to understand when you want, you have to go back and forth from standing still and just swinging the rope or a whip, whichever, swinging the whip around, and then going to switching back and forth from lunging, So now he understands I want to move, and then I'll stop and swing the rope again. All that builds up to, obviously, hand on the feet. You gotta get them to understand when you want them to stand still, first of all, and then touch, all that. Now, in this part of the video, I had just given him a hose bath. It helps sometimes desensitizing. Also gets him used to fly spray too if you use water and a hose. Anyway, another story. I worked my way around down, I was using my hand like a sweat scraper and just a quick last minute because I didn't have it. But here in a minute in this video, I'll be working down the rump and asking the foot to pick up. And by this point I didn't need a rope. He was pretty good at standing still, but I keep the lead rope in my left hand here as I'm picking up the foot with my right hand and just gently picking it up. That's, I got the feel for what worked for that horse. You gotta start as gentle as possible so that there's no surprises. And since I had given him a bath, I ended up taking the boots off because I don't leave them on wet. Anyway, that's kind of a final product of just the right process. And I don't hold it very long at all for a while. The longer you take to just do baby steps, the better outcome you have in the end. Now here with this foot, he did get a little bit kicky and I went back to the rope only. It doesn't hurt to go back. Now I know a little bit ago in this video I said this was the final product, but this was not the final product, of course. He's getting used to it slowly, but he's not the final product like the cruiser yet. Sorry, I want to clarify that. Now it's important to remember to stop while you're ahead. Don't overdo it. If you ask too many times, the animal just gets frustrated.